crafters, Raquel here with Paints and Glitter. I am coming along again with another easy tutorial making 4 different cards using one die set. This die set from Tonic Studios is the Envelope Edge Daisies die set, and as you can see here, it's only 2 pieces, so I'm going to be sharing with you in this video tutorial how you can create all of these cards. And along with the die set, what I have used are other items that you may also have in your stash. For instance, with this card here, which is created in a mini slimline style, I used the Nuvo expanding mousse. So you're going to see in this tutorial how to use that to create some really beautiful texture, and that does expand with heat. So if you're going to create this card, you'll need a tool to heat up the background, which you can easily get, and I'll leave links below in the description bar of these videos, so that way if you want to pick up any of the items that you see, if you're a beginner crafter or you're just getting started with new techniques, you'll be able to find all of the items there. The ribbons that I've used in this video are also Craft Perfect ribbon from Tonic Studios, so I did use chili red and red polka dot. So Tonic Studios creates ribbons to really match the paper collections, and what I love about that is that it takes the guesswork out of matching, so you know that it's going to look really pretty with whichever papers you select. And what I've done this time around is kept it super simple as far as the color is concerned. So as you can see here, I did use this chili red paper, and then I use this lighter blue. If you're not familiar with Tonic Studios classic card, this is what I've used: chili red and Arctic blue. They happen to be colors that I absolutely love, and I tend to gravitate toward the lighter colors. However, when I do use that light blue, I love pairing it with this bright red. And of course, this time of year, we're all creating Valentine cards, or maybe you need some ideas for a quick and easy card that you can make for a loved one. So I've kept them quite simple, and I'm going to show you this technique here, which is of course really fun because it helps you learn how to stretch your dies to see them in a different manner. So I hope that you get to take that away from this video. Here I've created a little bit of a shaker window, just adding this to an already created envelope that you can alter if you like to, because why not make the envelopes just as fun as the cards that you give away? And especially if they're already made for you, kind of takes the guesswork a little bit out of it. However, you do have to tinker with the dies a little bit to make it work. So that's that little card, and that is an A2 size card that I did cut down a tiny little bit. And then these 2 cards here are just a basic square card. In the video you won't see me apply this little flower, however this is from the Floral Bouquet die set, so I just made that one little flower there, and that was embellished with Nuvo embellishment mousse, and then I finished it off with drops. So speaking of drops, here are the Nuvo drops I used. Dream drops in the colors Gold Lux and Lemon Twist, and then I did use a crystal drop in the color Simply White. Before I forget, I also used Nuvo Pure Sheen Sequins, and these are Pure Sheen Confetti, and that might still be available, I'm not quite sure. But here all I did was finish off this gorgeous little card with those little drops all the way around, and the little flower as well. The center of the flower has a drop that I just swirled about, and then I did top it off with a little bit of this glitter gloss pen, only on the smallest flower. Then here I just used up some ephemera that I had in my stash, so why not go ahead and take advantage of those ephemera pieces you may have laying around and top off your card when you've already created a beautiful base for it using one die. So it's a really fun way to just stretch your items that you may have in your stash, make use of maybe some older stamps that you haven't used in a while. Here I did use one stamp to create all those little hearts, and this is from an older kit. I just happen to have this And it came with two different types of little hearts here. So I used one for the actual card front and then another one for here, the little envelope. And that's it. And then this little love die is from Tonic Studios. I took the little heart out of the center and placed it on the ribbon, and easy peasy. So following will be the tutorial. It's going to be sped up so it doesn't take too much of your time. Let me know what your thoughts are. Are you a new crafter, or did you get any ideas from this? I'd love to hear what your feedback is, and as I always say, I hope that you can be inspired and be blessed. Okay, to begin this tutorial, the first thing that I'm going to show you is that I did take these dies, I used both of them at the same time, and created this panel that you see me using here. I did cut it out twice and adhered it together to make it thicker. And here I'm using a spatula and my expanding mousse, and I am applying this onto a piece of vellum. And what's really fun about this is that you can create a mixed media type of project or card using as much or as little of the mousse as you would like, and you've created your own stencils. So that's what's really fun about die cutting, is that it's up to you on how you use that die cut. You don't actually have to use it just to apply it as a layer on a card. And then here what I did was that I used that leftover mousse that was all over that paper, and I essentially was stamping it onto the vellum using the very paper that I had just used as a stencil. Now I'm going to take my heat tool, and this is of course the fun part. It never gets old because embellishment mousse or embossing powders are so much fun to watch because they transform the paper. And right now I'm touching this to make sure that it's fully dry, but it also leaves this really wonderful kind of pillowy texture. And here I'm going to be making a slimline card, and this is why I folded the paper so that way I could have a tab. And this is going to be the foundation of this particular card. Super easy to make. So if you like smaller cards, the slimline cards are wonderful for gift giving, and they always look so pretty. So here I did cut the base of that die in a simply white card. Then what I did was I layered the die on top of the vellum and I simply tore the edge. So again, this is only because this card was going to be in a little bit more of a mixed media style as far as the vellum was concerned. And that paper was sprayed with gold shimmer spray from Tonic Studios. Then I took the chili red ribbon, measured it out, and now I'm simply applying the first layer onto the back of the card and strategically placing the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive right behind the portions that were heat embossed. And even though this adhesive does dry clear, it's just a good idea when using vellum to try to hide your adhesive if you can. So using double-sided tape, I helped myself to tack down that ribbon, and this will give the illusion, of course, that the ribbon goes all the way around that paper. But if you have trouble tacking this down, of course, you can definitely use strong red line tape, or you can use hot glue. Now I measured up another little piece that I tied with a small knot, and then created a bow as if I were tying shoelaces. So super easy there. Then I took a die that spells out the word love. I did cut that out in white 110-pound card, and also in mirror card that happens to be gold. I took the little heart out of the center and adhered it to the center of that little bow. Then taking the larger triangle, I went ahead and die cut two pieces of card here, as I was pointing out. The vellum still has that embossing on it, so it had that really pretty texture, and I didn't want to let that go to waste, so I decided to create a little pocket for the inside of this card. And that's what I've done here. Just applied a little bit of wet adhesive on the bottom border and then cut away the excess. And lastly, I added a little bit more adhesive just on that edge. And now I place a piece of vellum where I can write a sentiment and use the leftover little heart to decorate the top of that vellum, and this completes my first card. For the second card, I took a square in the Arctic blue and ran it through the die cutting machine using the die twice in the opposite direction. That gave me that beautiful panel that I will also be backing up using vellum. So that's another fun way to use dies that do not cut a border, is that you can cut into the background as many times as you like, the same way that I had created the stencil. However, this time, because I cut into a square, then I can create a really easy card base that is absolutely elegant. This design was just so very pretty. And lastly here, all I had to do was top this off with the color of choice from the Nuvo drops that I have. I went with white because I wanted this to look very delicate, especially with the use of vellum and such a light blue color. Off camera, I did add the little flower to the center, and I also used a glimmer pen to color in all of the petals for an additional bit of shine. The next card will be cut into, and I just cut out a larger square, use the center portion to cut into the background, and then I did cut out 4 pieces of white card that I had sprayed with gold shimmer. That created the shadow, which I did offset when I adhered it onto the back of that blue paper. And I completed the entire panel by adhering vellum behind both of them. For the solid piece, I did cut it out twice, once in gold mirror card, then in Arctic blue. I then used my scissors to cut away that beautiful scallop border from the Arctic blue panel so that I could layer this onto the gold card and have that beautiful border showing all the way around. Here I decided to place this on one of the edges and then proceeded to add some beautiful ephemera pieces that I had in my stash. Then I took some little white daisies that I had cut out using the beautiful bloom die set from Tonic Studios. I love using flowers on my cards, and I also had cut out some vellum leaves using that same die set, and this helped to decorate the front of this beautiful card. And so of course you can use the dies to create a beautiful backdrop onto which you can decorate your card using sentiments, ephemera, anything you like. Lastly, I did take a dual dot marker. I used that for the center of the little daisies that cut out using that die set. You also saw me apply ink to the center of the flowers, and that completed our third card. Now for this card, what I did was that I took some Nuvo hybrid ink. I inked the edge of that little rectangular panel. This is just going to have a very slight blue shadow along the edge because I'm pairing the Arctic blue with the chili red. Here you see the panels that I cut out, and some of these are going to be for the envelope. Then here's the white panel. I had folded the paper in half, ran the die cut through my machine, but overlapped the one edge. This allowed me to have this dual shape. I folded it in origami style and then cut it in half. This now gave me 2 little envelopes. Then using that solid triangle again, I went ahead and cut down smaller leftover pieces of that chili red card, and I created the liners that will go inside of these little envelopes. However, I wanted to make sure that they fit perfectly, so I just overlapped them with the little envelopes that I had created and used the pencil to trace the edge. So it's a super kind of beginner friendly technique that you can use to create your own ephemera pieces to decorate, whether it be a mini album or the front of a card. Here you see that those little triangles now will fit perfectly, and it won't need to cover the entire little envelope because I will be placing little papers inside. But then I just ran a little bead of adhesive along the bottom and that was a really easy way to create these little embellishments. So you're going to see me create 2 of these. And that's another fun thing, is that you can fold your papers before you cut them with a die cut, and just experiment with that and see what new shapes you may come up with. And also remember that it's a wonderful way to expand the size of a die. Here I've taken that gorgeous little polka dot ribbon, and that's going to line the bottom of those little envelopes. So I just used some double-sided adhesive to tack that ribbon on the back the same way I had done so previously with the thinner ribbon. Then I just remove that little liner that comes on the adhesive, and now I'm just going to place that little ribbon right along the edge. It gave it a more finished look, and it also gave me a little pop of color that just makes this a really happy and pretty card. Next, I'm applying adhesive to the back of these 2 little envelopes, which I am going to place on the base of the card in a little bit of a topsy-turvy style. It made it a little more playful, and here are the little rectangles that I decided to use as if they were little letters. I did use the same blue ink that I had used on the edge of the beginning panel that I had cut out, and with that blue ink I did stamp out little hearts on all of those little rectangles. Then here is where I'm going to alter the envelope. Now, as you can tell, I'm placing the larger triangle using low-tack tape right on the flap of that envelope. Then, avoiding that one edge, I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. And when I remove that, I have the 2 little edges that it cut away. And now I can decorate this little flap once I have cut away the little portions I don't need. This is where I'm going to place the solid red card, and then being careful as to where I apply the adhesive, I can now add this right on top. And this will not be a machinable envelope, just to point that out to you. So I would reserve this for something that I would hand deliver or add in a package, just because of the little sequins and all of that. But here's how I created the little shaker pocket. I simply used the panel and backed it up with yet another piece of vellum, and only adhered the little V portion of this die cut onto that base that matches. And of course you can do it in a different color if you'd like to, making sure that all the edges match. I then applied pressure to those edges, and now I spoon fed if you want to call it that. I just added the little sequins inside of that little pouch. And lastly, I could close this off with a little bead of adhesive right along the edge alone, and that creates that adorable little pocket. So if you like to make mini albums, by the way, this is a wonderful way to add a little pocket into a book. Now here I had a little bit of a gap from that paper that I had cut away, so no problem. This is a handmade item, and I like little envelopes that kind of have their own personality anyway. So I just took a rectangle and adhered it to the base of that envelope. It'll still fit my card, and now there are no gaps. So I truly hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget, this is part of a series, so I will have a playlist on my YouTube channel that you can watch for more simple tutorials on card making. If you're new here, of course, I invite you to subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to take a look at the other playlists that I have using Tonic Studios dies, whether it be for mini albums or card making or 3D projects. I enjoy them all. I hope you do too. And as I always say, I hope that you can be inspired and be blessed, and I thank you so much for watching.